Gulliver's Travels is a satirical novel written by Jonathan Swift in 1726. Swift points out the flaws of the 18th century Europe and reveals some overlooked human nature through a spectacle journey of Lemuel Gulliver. Gulliver is a British man who works as a surgeon, but when his business falls, he decides to sail. That's when everything goes wrong. But before going into mysterious lands, let's talk about style. Gulliver is reporting his life to the reader, informing us even with unnecessary details. We know that the book is fictional, but the seriousness and report-like tone set up a more effective satire, because when the speaker is oblivious to what's happening, it's funnier for the readers. Anyways, Gulliver is on the ship Antelope and encounters a storm, and Gulliver wakes up in Lilliput. When he wakes up, he's chained by people who are 6 inches tall. When Gulliver doesn't show signs of aggressiveness, the emperor orders to feed him, make him bed and clothes, and teach him their language. Here, government officials are chosen by how high they can jump on the rope and whether they're low-heeled or high-heeled. Then, a war breaks between Lilliput and its neighboring kingdom Blefuscu, over which end they must break an egg first. Gulliver is used as a tool to defeat them. However, he is soon charged with treason for public urination and flees to Blefuscu, where he finds a big enough ship and sails back to England. The reader laughs at Lilliputians for thinking they can control Gulliver, who can easily destroy the entire kingdom, but they symbolize humans' conceited mindset that we know and are in control of everything, and human weakness of using violence to hide fear. Lastly, the silly reason behind the national tension resembles the relationship of England and France back in the 18th century. Swift points out that the fights are unnecessary and meaningless if seen in the bigger picture. 2 months after return, Gulliver sails again, and somehow ends up in a place where he is now as small as a Lilliputian. The giants are curious and entertained by small human-like creatures. The queen buys him and adores Gulliver, and the king likes discussing politics with him, but finds it funny that such small world considers things with such magnitude. Gulliver is faced with his physical weakness and insignificance due to the size. He is easily injured and grossed out by the strong odors and ugly features such as big pores and repulsive eating. It is quite ironic that now Gulliver is in Lilliputian's perspective. When he had the physical superiority, he failed to understand why Lilliputians saw him as repulsive, but now he knows. The Brobdingnag exposes the secretive parts of human life from Gulliver's point of view. Gulliver's contrasting experience here demonstrates that humans come in imperfections. There are sincerity and generosity, but also the private ugly sides to human existence. In less than 2 weeks, Gulliver sails again and ends up in the floating island of Laputa. Laputans rely heavily on mathematical and musical concepts while considering any practicality as vulgar. They are easily lost in abstract thoughts that they need flappers to hit their ears and mouth to keep them focused. Their technologies taught in the academy ruined the land of Balnibarbi as well. The unrealistic and unnecessary studies at the academy, such as turning excrement back into food and eating wafers with math formulas, written frustrated Gulliver. He travels to Glubbdubdrib where he meets historical figures like Alexander the Great and Kaiser, but is frustrated by their not-so-greatness. He then arrives at Luggnagg, where he learns that the immortals are sad and envious of those who can die. This makes fun of the Enlightenment period in the 18th century Europe, where philosophers and scholars emphasized the greatness of theoretical studies. All knowledge and technology means nothing to the good of the mankind if they can't be applied to enhance the quality of life. After 5 months, Gulliver leaves again and meets intelligent horses. Horses treat him with great curiosity, as he resembles the appearance of their barbaric human-like creatures called the Yahoos, but possesses intellect. Gulliver and the Hymnims engage in active conversations about the European affairs, laws, justice system, food, and occupations. Gulliver doesn't want to go back to live with the Yahoos anymore, but he's asked to leave because the horses think Gulliver's people share the same greedy and selfish natures of the Yahoos. He's reluctant to return to England, but is found by sailors and returned home. However, Gulliver cannot stand the yahoos, including his own wife and children, and chooses to talk to horses all day instead. The perfectly communal lifestyle and rational mindset seems great, but the readers question this because there is no sense of individuality there. Gulliver's attraction to the place represents the hasty respect for a society that constricts uniqueness and imperfections. Swift satirizes the inability of people to realize their shortcomings and selfish nature through Gulliver's objective yet naive perspectives. However, behind the satire is a message that humans can therefore improve upon what we lack by observing our problems objectively and focusing on the practical adjustments we can make. All the imperfections and repulsiveness are a part of our nature, and they can make us humans who have endless possibilities if we could just see our problems.